Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. This is one of those stories where no matter what I do, someone's going to think I'm heartless. But after everything that's happened, I'm standing by my decision. I just need to know if I finally crossed into cruelty, or if I'm simply done letting myself be the family doormat. I'm 36 female, and my father, 68 male, is currently battling late-stage cancer. He's recently reached out to me, begging for help, asking me to take him in, manage his appointments, feed him, clean up after him, be his caregiver during his final days. But I've said no. And now, our extended family is calling me cruel, heartless, a terrible daughter for leaving a sick, dying man to suffer alone. But here's the part they conveniently leave out. My father made his choices, and unfortunately for him, I'm no longer willing to sacrifice myself to clean up the mess he made. My mother passed away 5 years ago after a brutal fight with ovarian cancer. She and I were close. We didn't have a perfect relationship. No family is perfect. But she loved me fiercely. She was thoughtful, selfless, and tried to leave behind something for me when she knew she wouldn't be around much longer. Before she died, she made my father promise 2 things. 1. That he would take care of me and continue supporting me emotionally even after she was gone. 2. That he would keep no contact with her sister, my Aunt Lisa. This wasn't paranoia on my mother's part. My mother and Lisa had a strained, bitter relationship for most of their adult lives. Lisa was the classic golden child of their family. Self-centered, manipulative, constantly stirring up drama. They competed for attention their whole lives, but when my mother married my father, Lisa made things worse. She would flirt with him at family gatherings, make snide comments about my mother's appearance, and belittle her openly. At one point, she actually told my mother, "If you ever drop dead, at least I'll finally get my shot with him." It was disgusting. My mother told me about that comment once while she was in hospice care. She said, "Promise me you'll watch out for her when I'm gone. She'll sink her claws into him the minute she gets the chance." At the time, I thought it was grief and paranoia talking. But she was right. 6 months after my mother's funeral, my dad started dating Lisa. It wasn't undercover. He paraded it in front of me, and everyone like it was normal. He told me, "Your mom's gone. Lisa makes me happy. What's the problem?" The problem? It was my mom's worst nightmare. And honestly, it felt like mine too. At first, I tried to be the bigger person. I told myself maybe they were just 2 lonely people clinging to each other. Maybe grief made people do strange things. But then the money started disappearing. Before my mom died, she made sure to set aside a small inheritance for me. Nothing extravagant. She wasn't rich, but she had some jewelry, a savings account she built from her side business, and her vintage china set, which had been in her family for 3 generations. She made it clear that china was meant for me. She even wrote it into her will. After her death, my father was in charge of the estate. Legally, everything defaulted to him because they were married. The will designated certain items to me, including the china, but the cash assets were for me, per her wishes, not legally locked in. At first, I thought he would honor her word. Instead, he started lavishing Lisa and her daughter, my cousin Megan, with everything my mother left behind. My father started taking Lisa and Megan on expensive vacations: Paris, Greece, Bora Bora. They dined at 5-star restaurants weekly. I saw pictures on Facebook of them eating $300 steaks while I was scraping by, working overtime shifts to cover rent. They went to wine tastings, luxury spas, art auctions. Megan, who is 3 years younger than me, started posting photos in designer clothes with captions like, "Living my best life thanks to Uncle Dave." It made me sick. And no, before anyone asks, I wasn't invited to any of these trips, not once. My father stopped including me in holidays, family dinners, birthdays. He told me, "You're too judgmental. I don't need negativity around me. Lisa and Megan make me happy. You should learn to do the same." 2 years ago, Megan got married. My father threw her a lavish wedding, which he paid for entirely. He covered everything: venue, dress, catering, flowers. Despite the fact that Megan's own father is still alive and perfectly capable of contributing. And the wedding gift? He gave Megan my mother's vintage china set. The same china my mother explicitly left to me. The same china that was supposed to be passed down from mother to daughter. When I confronted him, he shrugged and said, "Well, Megan's basically like my daughter now. She deserves something special. You're always so cold and critical. I knew you wouldn't appreciate it." I felt like the air had been knocked out of me. That was when I finally went no contact. I blocked his number. I stopped attending family events. I mourned him like he was dead, because, to me, the father I knew was gone. A month ago, I got a call from Lisa. Her tone was cold and businesslike. She said, "Your father has cancer, stage 4. He's not doing well." At first, I'll admit, I felt sad. Despite everything, this is still the man who raised me. But then Lisa kept talking. She told me, "I can't take care of him anymore. It's too much. He's out of money, so I'm moving back to my place. You need to come get him." Wait, what? Turns out, my father spent everything. Every penny he had went to Lisa, Megan, and their lifestyle. The bank accounts are drained. The properties are gone. His savings are gone. The life insurance policy he once had, cashed out years ago to pay for more luxury trips. And now that the money's gone, so is Lisa. She kicked him out. She told him, "I'm not a nurse, Dave. Figure it out." Now my father is calling me. He's crying, saying he made mistakes, saying he needs me, saying I'm his only daughter, and that family takes care of each other in the end. He wants to move into my apartment. He wants me to take unpaid time off work to shuttle him to chemo, change his bandages, feed him, clean up after him. He wants me to save him from dying alone. I told him no. I told him that for 5 years, he made his choice. He chose Lisa. He chose Megan. He chose vacations over birthdays, steak dinners over phone calls, and luxury bags over my peace of mind. He took the inheritance my mother worked for and used it to play Daddy Warbucks to my cousin while telling me I wasn't grateful enough. He gave away the one thing my mother left me, the china that should have been passed to my children one day, not because he forgot, but because he wanted to cut me out. And now he's calling me because he's sick, broke, and abandoned. I told him, "I hope Lisa and Megan can find time in their busy schedules to help you. But I'm not a nurse either, Dad." I hung up. Now the calls won't stop. Family members are telling me I'm cruel, that no matter what happened, no one deserves to die alone, that I'm letting a grudge get in the way of basic human decency, that I should be better than this. Lisa, she's playing the victim now too. She's telling people she never asked for any of this, and that she thought I'd step up when it mattered. Megan, silent, of course. I guess she's busy using my mother's china for brunch. I won't lie, I feel guilty. Not because I think I'm wrong, but because this goes against every instinct I have. I was raised to believe you take care of your parents no matter what. But where was he when I needed him? He betrayed my mother's dying wish. He replaced me with people who mocked her memory. And now I'm supposed to step in and clean up the mess. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole for refusing to take care of my dying father after he betrayed my mother, drained her inheritance on my aunt and cousin, and cut me out of his life until now? Not the a-hole. OP's father made his bed, and he made it out of betrayal, selfishness, and greed. Now he wants to crawl into OP's because he burned his own house down. Absolutely not. Caregiving isn't automatic just because someone shares your DNA. He chose to prioritize OP's aunt and cousin over OP when he was healthy and wealthy. Funny how he suddenly remembers who his real daughter is now that he needs something. OP should not let guilt override self-respect. She has mourned him once already. That was enough. And now let's hear community's opinion. This isn't about money. It's about disrespect, and your father disrespected you in every way possible. He spent your mother's inheritance like it was monopoly money, gave away her cherished family heirloom to your cousin, and cut you out of his life unless it was convenient for him. Now that the ATM has run dry, he's back, begging for help. Actions have consequences. You're not cruel. You're protecting yourself, not the a-hole. And the China thing? That would have been my final straw too. People love to scream, "Family is family," until they're the ones being used and discarded. Your father chose who he wanted to treat as family, and it wasn't you. For years, He didn't care if you ate alone, spent holidays alone, or watched him spoil your cousin with your mother's legacy. Now he's alone, and somehow that's your fault? Number. He had people. He chose the wrong ones, not the a-hole. Let him sit with the choices he made. It's not elder abuse to refuse to be your father's retirement plan, nurse, and emotional punching bag after he cut you out of his life. It's called boundaries. If caregiving were just about biology, hospices wouldn't exist. Your father didn't want you when he was living well. He only wants you now because he's desperate. That's not love. That's convenience. I'm a 39 male. This whole ordeal started when I was around 25. But to be able to fully make my case, I need to provide some context. My brother, male 41, is a narcissistic and manipulative a-hole who takes pleasure in making people suffer and been enabled by our parents his entire life. His favorite thing to do was to hurt me, every way possible, except physical, since I was, and still, more athletic than him, so he knew that if I snapped, I would split him in two. Luckily to me, I was able to get out of that crap hole when I was 18. After I started dating a girl who I thought was perfect, till she revealed herself to be even more narcissistic and manipulative than my brother. The thing was so serious that for me to be able to get away from her, I needed to change my numbers and move out of town. It took a lot of therapy for me to recover. After I recovered, I attended a small family gathering to celebrate my grandma's birthday. And guess who was there? My ex with my brother. And if that wasn't already an eyesore, they had the gall to announce their engagement at the party. But the thing is, this is a common tactic my brother used to hurt me. Since I can remember, he always stole my girlfriends, or dated my exes, and made her lives miserable just to hurt me. But I had already given up on them, so let it be. Well, long story short, my ex showed herself to be way more cunning and manipulative than my brother. They were married for less than a decade. She cheated on him, got pregnant, and passed the kid as it was my brother's son, divorced him, made a lot of false accusations of a bunch of terrible things. Long story short, my brother lost his job, his friends, his reputation, his savings, and is bound by the law to pay alimony and child support. Our parents, who took it upon themselves to help him, also were milked dry by court fees and lawyers. My ex fled the state after she got what she wanted. Now my parents and brother are almost homeless and begging me to help them, but I'm not moving a finger to help them. Since then, the rest of my family is calling me an a-hole for letting my brother marry that witch and for not helping them get back on their feet. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Seems like your brother's problems are a result of his own actions. Same goes for the parents that enabled him throughout the years. If you decide to help them, I do feel bad for the parents losing their home, but I love my own parents very much, so I have pink glasses on. Do it via a lawyer where it's made clear that the money is a loan, and they're either paying you back or you will inherit amount X, the house, as a repayment. Not the a-hole. This is what karma is. I'm honestly surprised you're even speaking to your family. Let this go from your mind. He's a grown man who made his own choices. Same for your parents. They can figure out what to do amongst the three of them. Not the a-hole. They were made for each other. Guarantee you if you'd warned them at the time, you would have been called a jealous a-hole for trying to break them up. Let them reap what they sow and keep your distance. They created their own problems and don't get to make someone else suffer for it. 7 years ago, my parents got into a big fight. They had been having issues for years, and I thought I was to blame. A few weeks later, I was asked to decide to choose who to live with. I decided to live with my father. My sister went on to live with my mother. I had been struggling with depression ever since. About 4 years later, me and my sister, who had moved in with me a year prior, weren't doing well academically, so my father decided to hire a tutor. He told us he got a woman so she could freely interact with my sisters. 3 years later, these last few months, my father told us that he wants to get married again. We asked who, and he said he wants to marry the tutor, that they had been talking for a while, and it's starting to become a real idea. Not gonna lie, I was relieved he wasn't bringing in someone new, because over the last few years we created a strong bond with the tutor. So even though I was weirded out a bit, I consented, and that was that. Yesterday, my mother got word of this, not from my father, and came to talk to me privately. She said she was afraid of the tutor suddenly switching faces once she got with my father. I told her that we trusted the tutor and didn't see that as a likely outcome. She said that this woman has been talking to my father since before my parents were divorced, over 7 years ago. She was the reason my parents split, not me. My mother then told me that the woman and my father sent a spy, her brother, after my mother to try and catch a moment of her flirting with a man. My father even went as far as planting bugs in my mom's room to try and expose her, to no avail. After my mother found out, she left my father within a week, and somehow my father was able to spin off that my mother was seeing other people. That's what he told his parents. Upon realizing what happened to my mother and that their divorce wasn't my fault, I cried for the first time in 7 years. She started crying too, which kind of proves her innocence. I felt like I had sided with the wrong person. I couldn't believe the pain she went through. She then asked me to keep this to myself. My sisters don't know. Now, guys, tell me, if I expose this homewrecker B, will it be worth it? I don't want my mom to be caught in the middle. She comes first. I'm also seriously considering leaving my father to live at my mom's. If they've been holding their breath for that long, they can have each other. I also don't want to break my little sister's hearts, because we have a good relationship with the tutor that even evolved into love. Our relationship with our father is astronomical. He is my best friend. Everything my dad did for the last 3 years was for this. It was all planned. Your mother and your father have been separated for many, many years, a very long time. They both deserve happiness. Don't assume everything your mother told you is the absolute truth. Have a private conversation about this with your father only. Many times the truth is somewhere in between. You may never know the exact truth. But consider this. Your mother has known that you had this tutor for 3 years and did nothing. She apparently did not mind you being around this woman for 3 years, and now she steps forward. Why? You have known this tutor for years. You all like her. You said you have a strong bond with her. If she and your father can be happy together, and she is kind and loving with you and your siblings, that is a good situation. Don't make any snap judgments here. You're 17, and you need to not think like a child, but almost an adult. And many children offer shoulder blame in a divorce, and it's almost never their fault, and it's certainly not yours. Let that part go and feel peace about yourself no matter how this story turns out. Not the a-hole, but your mom might be. Her story seems a bit off. She had no problem with her being around you for 3 years, but now she suddenly does. Moreover, doesn't her story itself sound a bit outlandish? If I were in your shoes, I would talk to your dad privately and try to see his side of the story. They say there are 3 sides to any story: your mom's side, your dad's side, and the actual truth. Try to see what your dad has to say about this. First off, no child is ever to blame for parents splitting up. I'm sorry you ever felt it was your fault, and I'm glad you don't feel that way anymore. Second, your parents' relationship has nothing to do with you or your siblings. You are allowed to love and have relationships with both those people, as well as any step-parents that show up. Marriages end for a lot of different reasons, and there's usually not even a truth. It's just 2 people's selective interpretation of events. Sometimes those events didn't even happen. Even if your mom's version of events is 100% accurate, so what? It has nothing to do with you or siblings. It doesn't mean that either of your parents love you less. It doesn't mean that they would be together today if not for this other woman. I haven't met a happily married couple where one person is cheating. For what it's worth, I think your mom is, at a minimum, gifting you with selective information. I wouldn't discount outright lies. I think she's doing so because she's worried about being replaced as a mom and is jealous and insecure. The best thing you can do is reassure your mom that you love her and she's not being replaced. Sucks to get older and realize that parents are just people with the same jealousies and insecurities you see in your peers. So I, 30s female, am a stay-at-home mom of my daughter, 5 female. My daughter has a little best friend, 4, almost 5, who she does a lot of activities with. Her friend's mom and I became friends. Her friend's mom works. Cool. Since day one, her friend's mom, FM, has been making little comments about me staying home. Must be nice. Rich people. I don't talk about staying home much because I know I am incredibly privileged to be able to do so. But she says things all the time about it. Like when I joined the board of directors for our town soccer club. Daughter loves soccer. She made snide remarks about how it must be nice to have the time to do things like that. It's also her tone. Our kids both start school next month, and she has asked me 3 times now if I'm going back to work when my daughter goes to school. I usually just say no, always followed by some comment from her about how it must be nice and we're rich. After the second time, I asked her to please stop, that the comments she makes about me being a stay-at-home mom make me uncomfortable, and that I do realize how fortunate I am, but please stop. A couple days ago, she asked again if I'd be going back to work. I replied, no, why would I do that? She said, to contribute to your family and society. Instead of taking the high road, I said, well, are you going to quit your job? To actually raise your daughter and contribute to your family. I'll admit it was a horrible thing to say. I don't think working parents don't raise their kids. I was just fed up, and I had asked her to please stop making comments about me staying home. My husband says it's kind of funny. I feel a bit like an a-hole. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. After her being rude, inconsiderate, and deflecting her insecurities on you multiple times, you still explained your feelings and asked her to stop like an adult. She continued, and you gave her a taste of her own medicine. People love to dish it out, but hate when it's given back to them. I am curious as to what her response was, though. She looked like she was going to cry, called her daughter over and left. Not the a-hole. She should have knocked that stuff off. Everyone is dealing with their own situation in life. She wanted to go there repeatedly, and it got served back to her. We just need to back off people when they aren't harming others. There are people out there really causing harm. If you and your partner are okay with this arrangement and can make it work, it isn't for others to chime in. Let's focus on people who actually cause problems, not people who just live differently than us. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Not the a-hole. You totally got me. I was so ready to say that you are, but nope. I'm disabled, so I've had to hear people tell me how nice it must be to sit home all the time for about 8 years. Then the plague came, and they all started threatening to commit S if they had to stay home for one more day with their kid. Was she one of those? I'm waiting for one of those to say to me it must be nice to stay home all the time. I haven't heard it since before 2020. I'm just waiting because now I have a comeback finally. Edited to add that by raising your children the way you want to raise them, you are contributing to society. You will have loved, well-rounded children who won't grow up to be little corporate overlords. Good for you. Everyone in society contributes to society. She's ableist to say things like that. It's gross. From the title, I'm sure I, 49 male, do sound like one. My eldest daughter seems to believe I am, so I wanted to know if she's right. A couple years ago, my daughter, Nat, who was 21 at the time, introduced us to her fiancé, a 46-year-old man, literally 1 year younger than me. Everyone in the family was livid, my ex-wife, and so was I, honestly. It took a lot of restraint not to lose control the first time I met him. Nat said they met at work. He wasn't her direct supervisor due to them working different departments, but that still didn't sit right with me. She swore up and down they're in love and they were gonna make it work. Nat is a sweet girl, very smart and mature, but the first time I met him, I saw right through him. I actually got some very good advice from a close friend of mine. He encouraged me to befriend the guy, support my daughter even if I don't support it, but be his friend in a way that makes my daughter see his real age and show how completely different they really are. I wasn't over the top with it, but I did attempt to become close with him. Not that I enjoyed any second of it. When they'd come over for a visit, we spent hours talking about politics, work, what our plans were once we finally hit retirement, shared stories from childhood. Sometimes I could tell the conversations would bore my daughter, even when we'd include her in them. It's been over a year since they got married, and Nat decided to leave him a few weeks ago. She asked me for help finding an attorney, so me and her mom have been helping out with that. She left their place, so at the moment she's staying with me. As I suspected, she realized they were not compatible at all. It just felt weird, according to her, how similar me and him are. I'll be honest, I'm relieved I won't have to be his friend anymore. Everyone came over for Father's Day. Nat went with her brother to buy more chips and sodas, so it was only me and eldest daughter. My eldest daughter asked if I'd be able to cope with not having my buddy anymore, and I said of course. It's not like I enjoyed being around the guy. She asked what I meant, and I explained I only became friends with him so that Nat could see more of his actual age, how different they actually are, and so that she wouldn't shut me out of her life. My daughter is taking it like I intentionally manipulated the man in order to end his marriage. She thinks now that I'm an a-hole for befriending him under false pretenses, just to get Nat to leave him, and it's basically my fault they're divorcing. I'm not sure how it would be my fault. Nat said herself she saw how completely incompatible they were, but she does seem to think I was one for being part of why she left him. Honestly, I'm lost here. Am I the a-hole? Edit to clarify. This conversation was with my other daughter, not with Nat. Not the a-hole. Your only mistake was not taking this little bit of showmanship to the grave. Her marriage didn't end because of you. It ended because she realized, with a bit of indirect help, that this relationship was not what she wanted. Not the a-hole, but telling your other daughter was a really stupid decision. Do you really think she's going to keep it secret? Not the a-hole. I can't imagine how horrifying it must have been to find out that your daughter was with a man quite literally old enough to be her father. And considering she was only 21 at the time, barely an adult, guaranteed there was some duckery going on. As someone in their early 20s, we are absolutely nowhere near the same level of maturity as someone in their 40s, and there's no way in hell that man wasn't skeezy as duck for dating and marrying a woman barely old enough to even drink, assuming you're American. You have every right to be disgusted with your daughter's relationship with him and glad that it's over. Having said that, you didn't even actually do much anyways. You just made it clear to your daughter how significant the age disparity between her and her, thank God, ex are. She's the one who made that conclusion on her own. You just made sure it was obvious. So no, you didn't manipulate anything. For context, my best friend and I have been together since we were children. Unfortunately, my mom passed away when I was young, and my dad works abroad. His family has been magnanimous enough to let me stay in their home, and because of this, we have always been with each other. I love him to death. Since he comes from a privileged background, I've also been privileged by extension. Unfortunately, he is also a huge pushover at times. For example, he excused the fact that his girlfriend used Tinder and felt guilty for invading her privacy when he caught her in an intimate position with another guy. No one else I know can find fault in themselves as easily as he does. So when he brought home a new girlfriend of just a month or so and told us he was going to marry her, I was highly skeptical. She wanted to get hitched to him as soon as possible, which rubbed me the wrong way. So I just asked a few honest questions to the woman in private. I treated her with respect, apologized for being so forward, and asked her straight up if she had any wrong intentions or a bad past she had to talk about. If not, then I would treat her like my own sister. She got extremely angry at me and told me that she hid the fact that she was already engaged to someone else, and told me there was nothing I could do about it. She liked the financial stability my friend provided, and I couldn't do anything about it. I tried telling my best friend about it, but he turned the whole thing on me by saying that she was an amazing woman and would never lie to him. We grew pretty distant before the wedding, but he still invited me over. Honestly, seeing him made me extremely emotional and teary-eyed. I told him that I probably can't convince him his fiancée had ill intentions, and I wished him the best in life. I didn't know until I left that he had canceled the wedding, and I feel extremely conflicted. He greeted me at our apartment and we hugged it out as he apologized, but I was too much in shock to ask him what happened after I left. Not the a-hole. You didn't make him do anything. He is an adult. He made his own decision to cancel the wedding. Not the a-hole. You were just doing what's in the best interest of your friend. There's more to the story than you probably know as well. Not the a-hole. You probably just saved him from a huge mistake. No need to feel guilty about anything. Also, he made his own decision. You didn't force him to cancel it.